So honeybees and bees in general are really windows into the natural world. So they really help us understand the flow of the seasons, the types of landscape and habitat that we have, and we can find them everywhere, from our cities and our gardens out into our natural parks and our farms. And so they really help us understand the environment that we live in and what we need to do to protect and support that environment. I'm Christina Grozinger. I'm the Publius, Vergilius, Maro Professor of Entomology at Penn State University and also the Director of the Huck Institutes of the Life Sciences. World Honeybee Day is the third Saturday of August in which we celebrate honeybees, the beekeepers who support them, and we also enjoy the honey and the foods that the bees help us make. So honeybees are our most important pollinator in the world, and pollinators move pollen between flowers, and they're really important for producing seed and fruit. So about 3/4 of our major food crops that we eat benefit from pollinators like honeybees. And so this is our fruits, our vegetables, our nuts, all the things that your doctor says you should eat because they have the nutrients that we need. There's been a lot of concern about how honeybees have been doing across the world. So in 2006, in the US, there was reports of colony collapse disorder where beekeepers were losing about 60% of their managed honeybee colonies in the US. In the last year, we actually lost about 70% of honeybee colonies in the US. So honeybees, like our other pollinators, have a number of stressors that they're experiencing. So for honeybees specifically, they have a mite called varroa mites, which are very problematic, and beekeepers have to control those mites in order for the bees to survive the winter. But there's more and more reports of pesticide-resistant mites or miticide-resistant mites, and so the chemicals that beekeepers used to be able to use to control those mites are not working anymore. So we need to have more research to identify new strategies for control for beekeepers. They're sensitive to extreme weather events, so if we have a really cold and rainy spring and the bees can't forage, then they'll suffer and they won't be able to build up their colonies and produce as much honey. And then also, again, they're having stressors from pesticide exposure as well. So the more that we can reduce exposure to pesticides, the better for our bees. So honeybees and the wild bees and also the other pollinators like butterflies and also flies are very important pollinators. They really need to have lots of flowering plants that they depend on for their nutrition. So the more flowering plants you can include in your gardens, in your urban areas, in your farms, that is all really important for supporting our bees. Also reducing the use of pesticides because they're of course important for controlling pests, but they can have off-target effects on bees. So reducing that and using that only when needed is really important. So honeybees in particular are social creatures. So they live in colonies with up to 50,000 individuals. There's a single queen. She lays all the eggs. Then all of her daughters are workers and they take care of the eggs. They build the nest. They search in the landscape for food, and they may fly miles away from their nest in order to find food. They come back to the nest and they tell their sisters where the food is through a symbolic dance where they give them exact directions on what direction to fly in and how far to fly and how good that food resource is. Put honey at the top, and then they put their brood on the bottom. You can see somebody's doing the waggle dance right there. And again, you can see a lot with different pollen baskets, and their pollen baskets they have pollen.
What's going on right now?
It is World